Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Saturday evening, May 3, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you all utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section, but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here with the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below, letting me know what the dice be like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so we need to highlight some weather chatter that's going on in the weather community. We're going to be highlighting these weather chatters, especially for the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season, because there are going to be things that are being discussed in the weather community that might not come to fruition, especially if it is not mentioned by the US National Hurricane Center. But we're going to highlight these because, trust me, there are going to be rumors here and there, so I'm going to be here to make it clear with what's really going on out there. But maps are being posted all around the weather community like this one, highlighting the fact that there could be a small chance of something forming to the north of the Eastern Caribbean, and then possibly looping back out to sea during the month of May. This is around maybe mid-May time frame, and we have the GFS ensemble models highlighting something similar. We also have the GFS itself highlighting not only that system right here to the north of the Eastern Caribbean, but the chance of some kind of Central American gyre forming by the end of the 384-hour mark. That's around mid-May into the latter part of May. We know the Central American gyre is basically when we have a huge spin right here across the western part of the Caribbean into the Eastern Pacific, and it can definitely spin out some systems, maybe tropical storms, whatever the case may be. Here we have one right here to the south of Jamaica, one right here to the south of Guatemala by May 19, 2025. And if you look closely at what it actually does, it spins up, so it pushes up towards the north, towards maybe northwest or northeastern Nicaragua and eastern Honduras, and then maybe shifting southward to the south of Guatemala, to the south of El Salvador. And sometimes these Central American gyres can definitely bring a nice southeasterly flow into Jamaica, bring us more moisture. But we have to take these forecasts with a grain of salt, especially considering that they are not within the 168-hour time frame, the 7-day time frame that the US National Hurricane Center would really use to make the accurate prediction. We also have others from the GFS showing that if it's not going to be some kind of low pressure, some kind of storm forming, it's going to be more of an increase in moisture. This is around May 18 as well. We see the dark greens, yellows, some kind of low pressure era, and we see Jamaica smack dab in the middle of that. GFS is 12Z today, showing that yes, we indeed had something formulating in the southwestern Caribbean, more moisture across us as we head into mid-May to the latter part of May. Some of the heaviest rainfall in the dark greens, yellows, oranges, reds, pushing across Jamaica into Haiti and the Dominican Republic. But the thing is, we have to take these forecasts with a grain of salt because they are way out there and they can definitely change. So don't hang your hat on it and say, oh, whether Jamaica said that there's something coming. They can definitely change, but it's that time of year. We're heading into May. We shall receive more rainfall during the month of May. We can get storms forming during the month of May. But as for right now, nothing is being really shown in the 7-day time frame. That's what we have to look at so that we have the most accurate information. Don't look at these far out models because they can definitely change. But the thing is, even the MJO, that's the model Junian oscillation, which is basically rising air moving across the globe from west to east. It's basically right here across the, let's say, southern Indian Ocean as we speak, if not the southern West Pacific, affecting maybe Australia. Basically, the greens are just rising here in general, so it definitely supports more upper level formation of the systems in general. And we're seeing that from now going all the way into the 5-day, 10-day, 15-day, 20-day time frame. So basically, by the time we head into mid-May to the latter part of May, it's supposed to head into our neck of the woods, into the Western Caribbean, into the Central, to the Eastern Caribbean, and the main development region. And it's gonna be interesting to see what actually takes place. So we have to pay close attention, because if the MJO is basically showing the rising ear around this time frame into mid-May into the latter part of May, the greens representing rising ear, maybe all of what the supercomputer models are showing regarding something formulating, if not an increase in rainfall, are definitely true. We'll see exactly what takes place, and I will definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs. As stated, nothing is being shown right now from the US National Hurricane Center, and they wouldn't show anything until we get to around May 15, when the Eastern Pacific hurricane season begins. Then we have our hurricane season in the Atlantic beginning in June. It's going to be very interesting to see what plays out as we head into mid-May. Will they actually issue some form of notice, maybe a code yellow in the Western Caribbean, Eastern Pacific, or the waters to the north of the Eastern Caribbean? We'll definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs. It's definitely possible, it could occur, but as for right now, tropical cyclone activity is not expected during the next 7 days, and this has been the case since the time that we had some kind of code yellow in mid-March, and then after that dissipated, the Hurricane Center updated by 9:15 a.m. on Tuesday, March 18, and shows what we're seeing now. Nothing expected over the next 7 days. So we're working with the 7-day time frame. We know that if we saw some of those L's and dark greens, yellows, oranges, and reds in the Caribbean or to the north of the Eastern Caribbean within the 168-hour mark, then the chances are higher for it to actually take place, and we would definitely see something from the hurricane season by now, from the hurricane center by now. But as of right now, over the next 168 hours, we're going to be seeing what the Euro and GFS are showing for the latest run. As usual, focus your attention on the timestamp right here as we go to the next 168 hours. Focus your attention on Jamaica right there as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. That's the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the greens that represent inches of rainfall. So let's see what's going to be taking place. As we head into Sunday morning, not seeing much of anything across Jamaica at that time. Then on Sunday afternoon, we see rainfall across eastern, central, western parishes. Look at the GFS now. The GFS is showing that there's going to be moisture in and around the island on Sunday morning, and I kind of believe it, because this morning we definitely had rainfall surrounding the island. We even had rainfall across eastern parishes. So the GFS is definitely winning in terms of what the troughing that's taking place across the Greater Antilles is doing to us. We're definitely getting more rainfall for sure. And then on Sunday afternoon, we see that rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes once again. Let us see what Monday morning has in store for us. On Monday morning, not really seeing much of anything, maybe some rainfall across the far eastern end of the island. Monday afternoon, eastern, central, western parishes embedded in the greens represent some rainfall. The GFS, on the other hand, showing rainfall encompassing the entire island or the waters to the north, south, east, and west of us. Then on Monday afternoon, once again, eastern, central, western parishes embedded in some amount of rainfall. Let us see what Tuesday has in store for us. On Tuesday morning, we see a rainfall or southeast to the south of Hispaniola. We also see an abundance of moisture to the north of the Eastern Caribbean. Then on Tuesday afternoon, we see rainfall across eastern, central, western parishes. That's what the GFS is showing. Tuesday morning, rainfall to our west, rainfall to our north and east. Some of that could also be affecting land. Then on Tuesday afternoon, we see rainfall across mainly southern and western parishes. Very interesting. What is the Wednesday forecast showing? On Wednesday morning, not much of anything across Jamaica. Then on Wednesday afternoon, rainfall across mainly central and eastern parishes. What does the GFS show for the same time period? Wednesday morning, not much of anything across much of the island, but maybe the northeast. Then on Wednesday afternoon, we see that rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes once again. What does Thursday show? On Thursday morning, not really much of anything on the Euro. Thursday afternoon, not really much of anything either. Maybe some isolated showers across the southwest. That's basically it. On Thursday morning on the GFS, we see rainfall across the northeast, rainfall towards south and west. On Thursday afternoon, rainfall across the southwest as well. Not really much of anything, to be honest. But Thursday. On Friday morning, however, we see rainfall towards south and southeast. Then on Friday afternoon, not really much of anything being highlighted by the euro. Then we're going to be stopping right here at the end of the 168 hours. So this is valid for Saturday, May 10. So we're not in the time frame yet for mid-May into the latter part of May that the models are showing something. So we'll see how it actually goes. You know that if the models are persistent, if they're consistently showing what they're showing for mid to the latter part of May, then the chances are higher for it to actually take place. Then we know that the Hurricane Center will give us a code yellow. Then we have the code oranges, code reds. We'll see all of that plays out. Let us see what the GFS is showing for the same time frame. Friday morning, not much of anything. Friday afternoon, not much of anything. And the end of the 168 hours, really not showing much of anything either. And regarding the total accumulated precipitation forecast notes here from the year and the GFS, they're not really showing much change. Still showing the most rainfall in the dark reds, purples, and pinks that we know represent 2 to 5 inches of rainfall across section of northern South America, French Guiana, Suriname, Guyana, Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, section of southern Honduras, western Nicaragua, El Salvador, section of eastern Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, the US Virgin Islands, interportion of Antigua and Barbuda, Montserrat, Guadeloupe, getting in on some of that, and we can clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in agreement with that. So those areas could definitely pick up some amount of isolated flash flooding for sure, while other areas shaded in the greens, yellows, oranges up to the reds that represents anywhere from 0.1 of an inch of rainfall up to an inch of rainfall. Areas like Belize, Guatemala, much of Honduras, sections of the ABC Islands, sections of Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados, St. Lucia, Martinique, sections of Anguilla, sections of, let's say, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, the British Virgin Islands, the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, central to western Cuba, the Bahamas, Florida. All of those areas definitely going to be getting in on that kind of rainfall range. But we're going to be switching gears and focusing most of our attention on Jamaica's total accumulated precipitation forecast for the next 7 days from now all the way up until Saturday, May 10. And we still see Jamaica shaded from the east to the western end in the greens, the yellows, and the slight oranges. That represents what we see here on the key on the bottom. Anywhere from 50 millimeters of rainfall all the way up to 50 millimeters of rainfall. We know that most of this rainfall that's going to be affecting the east or the northeast is going to be during the morning, and the central to the western parishes during the afternoon when we've had that daytime heating. And whatever happens, I'll definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs on our other social media platforms. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we have a ridge of high pressure to the north that we know is responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. A frontal system extending from northern portion of North Atlantic that has induced a trough right here into portions of the eastern Caribbean or to the east of there. Let us see what the visible satellite images of the Atlantic is showing before the sun went down. We can see the low level flow of the clouds being steered from east to west, all courtesy of the ridges of high pressure to the north. We can also see the clouds associated with the frontal system and the trough right here, extending into portions of the eastern Caribbean. We also see a lot of clouds, definitely a lot of troughing taking place across Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, Jamaica, Cuba as we speak, and the usual frontal systems and the severe weather clouds across portions of the central to the eastern US, as well as the thunderstorm activity across portions of northern South America as usual. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Saturday, May 3, 2025. It was stated that rainfall would have been in the forecast for sections of eastern, northern, and western parishes during Saturday afternoon. I want to know eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew, all in the parish of Surrey. The western parishes, and we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. I know northern parishes, we're talking about Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Poland. And what ended up happening at around 4:20 a.m. No post was made for the morning, but we definitely had that early morning rainfall. If you remember our video from yesterday, we highlighted that there was definitely a trough. Even though it's not being highlighted on the surface map. There's some kind of troughing taking place across the Caribbean, which explains all of this moisture that we see. Look at all of this mess. Clouds, showers, thunderstorms affecting Cuba, Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, the waters to the southeast of Jamaica, to the south of Haiti. There's definitely something in the atmosphere. There's definitely a trough somewhere in there that's causing some amount of unstable weather, a lot of thunderstorms, especially right here to the southeast of Jamaica. And it was stated that these troughs are very tricky and they can definitely bring some unannounced rainfall, because the rainfall wasn't really predicted for the morning across any specific parish. What the GFS was showing was rainfall encompassing the island, if not surrounding the island. But look what we had this morning. The Cuban Doppler radar images were posted at around 4:20 am, highlighting the greens and the yellows that represent moderate heavy rainfall affecting portions of eastern Jamaica, sections of St. Mary, Portland, St. Thomas. Definitely got lashed with some amount of morning rainfall. I saw most of the rain bands right here to the north of the island, to the east of the island at that time. And then another post was made at around 1:45 p.m. highlighting the visible satellite image. And the visible satellite image showed clouds bringing overcast skies, if not scattered thunderstorms across sections of eastern, central, western parishes. More specifically, Portland, northern St. Catherine, southern St. Mary's, southern St. Anne, Trelawney, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, section of St. James definitely got on the thunderstorm activity. We know the sparkling yellow that's in there represents some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. And then the infrared close-up satellite images were posted at around 3:35 p.m. and they highlighted the usual thunderstorm clouds, the cumulonimbus clouds being shared off towards the east in the greens, blues, yellows, oranges, and we see the sparkling white. That's how we know represents some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before we lost sunlight, you can definitely make out that flow of the low to mid-level clouds being steered towards the west. And we also make out the thunderstorm, the convection across much of the central to the western portion of the island, and the upper level clouds being sheared up by that upper level wind shear towards the east, southeast. And even while we're losing the sunlight, we still have some strong thunderstorm clouds right here to the southwest of Westmoreland. And if we take a look at the infrared close-up satellite images of Jamaica, we can make out the thunderstorms right here to the southwest of Westmoreland even better. And we saw where most of the thunderstorms definitely occurred across sections of inland areas of some central and western parishes, definitely across section of Manchester, Clarendon, sections of St. Anne, Trelawney, section of St. James, Westmoreland. Definitely gotten on the brunt of today's weather. Not really much of anything today across Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Thomas, or let's say eastern Portland, or maybe Hanover for that matter. If we take a look at the live camera here from See Jamaica's YouTube channel at around 3:18 p.m., we can see that the rear cobras are still showing a slight hint of murkiness from yesterday's rainfall. Definitely didn't have much in the way of rainfall today at around 3:19 p.m. well at that time. But I'm gonna show you the live camera shortly, because it seems like it definitely rained upstream in the northern portions of St. Catherine, because the water is rushing, the water is gushing, to be honest. But I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, such as the Flat Bridge, Halfway Tree Crossroads, just visit See Jamaica on YouTube. They have these live streams for your viewing pleasure, and they're planning on increasing the amount of cameras that they have in and around the island. So subscribe today so that you don't miss out. Taking a look at the total accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website. This map does indeed paint quite the picture of where we had that rainfall today. Definitely across eastern parishes in the morning, eastern St. Thomas, Portland, sections of some, let's say, central and western parishes during the afternoon, more so northern St. Catherine, northern St. Andrew, northern Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, section of Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary definitely got on that rainfall. And even although it's showing some areas highlighted in the rainfall, we know that some areas really didn't get that rainfall. We know that this map isn't 100% accurate, so take it with a grain of salt. Alright, so let us see the comments that came in today. Did we have some comments? Let's first check out our YouTube page. Let's see. Alright, so this morning we had Active 4081 sitting cool and nice in his area of Clarendon. We also have another bout of comments right here. Active confirming 5 hours ago, dark sky here in Clarendon with the Jamaica. Mikhail Masters 8479, heavy rain north St. Catharines. Thank you for confirming. We also have Angela Ray 816. I'm in Linstead, St. Catherine here right now. We're having heavy thunder showers. Thank you for confirming as well. Let us see. We also have Mikhail stating, "May sure more than 1 inch fall." Definitely. Given these May showers, they can definitely cause some more than an inch of rainfall range. Maybe triggering some flash flooding for sure. We have active 4081 sitting place. Wetiano Weather Jamaica, thanks for confirming. We have Marl Steer sitting clear here now, but rained heavily earlier. Bamboo St. Anne, thanks for confirming that. Even on our TikTok page, we have Jay stating rainy. On our Instagram page, we have Tanisha 3610 stating rain and more rain here in Linstead. Malon underscore one god underscore stating thunder roll here in South Carolina with the Jamaica. We also have crazy underscore unique stating finally Mobia get some from when the town here is just sunny and hot. I'm glad that you got some rain. We have Israel underscore Smichael stating Mandeville rain and more rain. Thanks for confirming. We have Edward Stanisha stating, man, we get a shower in South Manchester for a long time. I hadn't seen water rise in areas. Nice shower. Thanks for confirming that. On our third page, we have Sylvia Bando stating thunder, rain, and very windy late evening. Thanks for confirming that, Miss Bando. And on our Facebook page, we had Demura Lockstafari stating intermittent sunshine in Portmore. Latoya Taylor raining where I'm in St. Elizabeth. Shawnee Reynolds, St. Andrew raining. Rose Butler raining in South Manchester. Thank you all for confirming. We even have one comment here on our Twitter page from K.S. stating lots of rain in Savannah, Lamar. Thank you all for confirming what the weather was like in your area for today. Let us reload the very latest still image from the Weather Nerds website. Let us see what's happening right now. The very latest still image is showing 0025 UTC, which is actually 7:25 p.m. So this just came out 13 minutes ago, considering that it's 7:38 p.m. right now in Jamaica. And we can definitely make out the strong thunderstorms that we mentioned to the southwest of Westmoreland. And as usual, the cloud tops are being sheared off towards the east, if not the east-southeast. All courtesy of that upper level wind shear. Some strong thunder showers right now. Look at the sparkling white dots. Wherever we have the sparkling white dots, that's where the strongest thunderstorms are located. Heavy rainfall out to sea. I'm sure if there are any fisher folk or cruise ships out there, are definitely getting battered as we speak. Let us see if the latest Cuban Doppler radar imagery is confirming what we're seeing out at sea. First of all, Cuban Doppler radar definitely active across portion of central to southeastern Cuba. While we're reloading these, we want to see the latest of what's happening right now. And the latest Cuban Doppler radar image just reloaded, and it is now showing 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 7:30 p.m. Jamaica time. But this just came out 9 minutes ago, considering that it's 7:39 p.m. right now. And we can definitely make out that moderate to heavy, even severe weather taking place to the southwest of Westmoreland. The greens we know represent moderate rainfall, the yellows heavy rainfall, and even the reds in there that represent severe weather. Definitely out to sea. So it's definitely coinciding with what we just saw on the latest infrared close-up satellite image right here to the southwest of Jamaica. But we can also make out some milky whitish shades, some clouds across section of western Jamaica, the northwest and the eastern end. Maybe just bring some overcast skies. Nothing too significant. We can also see some rain bands right here across southwestern Clarendon, section of southern Manchester as we speak. Taking a look at the Guantanamo Bay Cuban naval radar imagery. Not really seeing much of anything right here across northeastern Jamaica, but we do see some rain bands between Jamaica and Haiti, some of the rain bands across the western peninsula of Haiti, and rain bands across sections of southeastern Cuba. The Cayman radar is confirming that heavy rainfall out to sea to the southwest of Westmoreland for sure. Wish the Cayman radar was showing more of Jamaica though. But this is as far as it gets. You can also see that rainfall that section of central Cuba got in on today. Not really see much of anything across the Cayman Islands though. And just as we stated earlier, the live camera here from See Jamaica's YouTube channel is showing that the Bogwalk Gorge, the river, definitely rushing. If we roll back the time, wasn't rushing that crazy earlier today, 2:41. But the live update definitely rushing to confirm that we definitely had some heavy rainfall across sections of northern St. Catherine. The Linstead people definitely confirmed for us. We know that when we have heavy rain upstream, it can definitely cause the river to be in speed, but not to the intensity to bring it all the way up to the road level at all. And I'm sure these drivers are grateful for that. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see that we have 25 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston, and by about 4 a.m. on Sunday, the temperature should have down to about 23 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is valid for 18th on Sunday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Sunday, and we can see Jamaica right here embedded in the grays that we know represents average or normal temperatures. I know the average or the normal temperature for the month of May across Jamaica is around 89 degrees Fahrenheit, and when that's converted to the degrees Celsius that we use here in Jamaica, that's around 31.6 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving that for Jamaica's temperature on Sunday for the most part. And we have at least one maintenance outage advisory here from my JPS online Twitter page that we have to highlight. I know that we have to highlight these because we know that when we have power outages somewhere across the island, it can definitely make the heat feel even worse because we don't have our fan or AC to cool us down. So if you live or work in these areas, or if you have friends or relatives who live or work in these areas, please let them know that a power outage is coming their way on Sunday, May 4, 2025. We're referring to Top Road as well as St. Anne's Bay in the parish of St. Anne from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And we have some tips right here to beat the heat as usual. It states here, when outside, seek shade. Eat fresh, try eating cold foods such as salads and fruits. Rest, make sure you get enough sleep and rest if you're feeling tired. Soak, take a cool shower or bath to help you cool down. And I cannot stress the importance of keeping hydrated throughout the day. Drink lots of water throughout the day, and put away those sugar drinks and drink water instead. Taking a look at the dry air map, we know that the dry air is represented by what we see here on the key on the bottom. The yellows, the oranges, the reds, and whites in those areas. You can see a lot of dry air right here across southwestern Atlantic, the waters to the east of the US, as well as off the coast of West Africa. But what we like to see is the yellows. We know the yellows represents the low end of the scale in terms of dry air, and the blues represent moisture, and we see a lot of moisture across sections of the eastern Pacific, intertropical convergence zone, the southwestern Caribbean, central and eastern Caribbean, as well as the intertropical convergence zone of the Atlantic. And that's what we like to see. We like to see the low end of the scale in terms of dry air with the yellows, and we like to see the blues represent moist air because we want rainfall. We want the water, to be flowing in our pipes. So all of these oranges and reds can say bye bye for now, but it is still here to definitely keep the atmosphere stable, making it harder for us to get storms this time of year. Taking a look at the Saharan dust forecast for 18 UTC on Sunday, we can see all the browns represent the Saharan dust across Africa, section of Asia, Europe, extending across portion of the main development region into the eastern Caribbean. And what we're glad about is that by the time it gets into the main development region in the eastern Caribbean, most of it has dwindled down. We're talking about anywhere from a 1 to at least a 25 intensity in terms of the dust concentration near ground. So nothing significant to cause very hazy skies or trigger respiratory illnesses in some persons, like what we're seeing with the very intense plume across Africa where the desert is located. So it makes sense that most of it is located over here. So we're glad that us over here in Jamaica and the Greater Antilles, we're all in the clear for 1 p.m. on Sunday. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, still seeing those light shades of blues to dark shades of blues that represent what we see here on the key on the bottom. Anywhere from 0.5 meter wave height all the way up to 1.5 meter wave height. And that's because of the winds that are expected. Definitely some dull greens, blues, representing anywhere from 5 to 10 knots at most, maybe even gusting to 15 knots the most. Easterly flow across the eastern Caribbean, curving more northward across the western Caribbean, more of an east-south-easterly flow across Jamaica. Definitely some low wind speed, nothing strong enough. And if we zoom in on Jamaica's wave forecast for tomorrow, for the fishermen out at sea, 0.7 of a meter wave height to the north of St. Anne, 0.5 of a meter wave height to the north of Hanover, 0.8 of a meter wave height to the north of Portland, 0.6 of a meter wave height to the south of Westmoreland, 0.7 of a meter wave height to the south of St. Elizabeth, 0.6 of a meter wave height to the south of Clarendon, and to the south of St. Thomas, it's supposed to be 0.8 of a meter wave height, and that's because of the winds that are expected. Clearly the winds coming in from the east southeast tomorrow, averaging about, let's say, 14 knots on the north coast, about 12 knots on the south coast. And we see where the air is going to be piling up once again, especially across some northern and western parishes. So the pattern has definitely flipped from a northeasterly flow, where northeastern Jamaica have been getting on those morning rainfall, and in the southern Jamaica during the afternoon, to more of an east-southeasterly flow, where the afternoon is going to be graceful for, if not northern section of some southern parishes, definitely some northern parishes as well as some western parishes, just like what happened today. So something similar to what happened today will be happening tomorrow. So especially considering that there's a trough in the area, don't be surprised if you wake up to some amount of rainfall affecting portions of the island, the eastern end as usual, maybe even the southern or northern end. We'll see how it actually plays out. And the upper level winds are coming in from the west northwest tomorrow, so it could favor more of those overcast skies. And we have those thunderstorms shearing off. More of this across section of some southern parishes. More of the overcast skies across section of some southern parishes. Alright, the actual rainfall forecast maps now. This map from the GFS, this map from the Euro are both showing 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's actually 1 p.m. Jamaica time. And what do both maps show? They are both showing blues represent rainfall across section of some eastern, central, and western parishes. The Euro showing the brunt of the rainfall across the northwest section of St. James, Trelawney, Western St. Anne, with the dark blues, greens, yellows, ridiculous rainfall. The GFS getting up into the dark blues across section of Trelawney and St. James as well. And it's also highlighting that the brunt of the rainfall could be across eastern, northern, and western parishes. We don't see much across St. Catherine or Clarendon because of the east-south-easterly flow, so it would make more sense to believe what the GFS is showing. And then at around 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it's actually 4 p.m. Jamaica time, we still see the blues represent rainfall across sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes. We'll see how it actually plays out tomorrow. The forecast is definitely going to be for rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes on Sunday though. Even the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps from the Euro and the GFS are adamant that it's going to be raining somewhere in Jamaica within the next 24 hours. We see the Euro going all the way up to 0.86 of an inch of rainfall, up to 0.79 of an inch of rainfall. Take these totals with a grain of salt. It could definitely be more than that. It could definitely be less than that. Especially with a trough lingering. The GFS only going up to 0.88 of an inch of rainfall. We'll see exactly what unfolds, and whatever happens, we'll definitely take it. We're in the month of May. We're in the secondary rainy season. And in Kingston, this bar graph is being shown right here at the top. We usually receive close to 140 millimeters of rainfall for the month of May. In Montego Bay's bar graph is being shown right here at the bottom. We usually receive close to 6 inches of rainfall for the month of May. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives in terms of rainfall for the month of May or for the entire year, you can visit weatherandclimate.com and that website to show you that information. And you can use this nice graphic right here that converts rainfall from inches to millimeters. You know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall, so you can do the math yourself. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the rest of the Caribbean is receiving as we speak. As usual, the thunderstorm activity across section of Northern South America, Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica. We also see the thunderstorm activity that last portion of Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico today, even section of the Eastern Caribbean. Waters to the southeast of Jamaica definitely getting nailed by that trough as we speak. If you take a look at what the Doppler radar imagery is showing for the areas in and around Puerto Rico, as we speak, Eastern Dominican Republic getting on some rainfall, Northern Puerto Rico getting on some rainfall. Waters to the south of the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and the US Virgin Islands definitely getting on some bad weather as we speak. Sections of western portion of the British Virgin Islands and sections of the US Virgin Islands definitely getting on some icy shores too. Waters in and around St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, Guadeloupe, Dominica getting on some amount of rainfall as we speak. And if we load these images from earlier today, we can see it was definitely raining across section of eastern portion of the Dominican Republic, western to central and eastern Puerto Rico with that moderate to heavy rainfall. And the British Virgin Islands definitely getting nailed today, and we also got that rainfall in and around Antigua and Barbuda, Guadeloupe, and Dominica too. And if we take a look at the Barbados radar, not seeing much of anything across Barbados right now, but if we look to the north and south of there, we see rainfall affecting portion of Trinidad and Tobago, some rainfall to the east of Grenada, St. Vincent, some rainfall affecting portion of Martinique, from the east, Dominica, rainfall to the south of Guadeloupe, to the east of Guadeloupe as well. And if we take a look at the wide view of Doppler radar images, you can see a rainfall across section of central Cuba, central to eastern Florida getting in on their fair share of rainfall today, sections of Mexico spilling into sections of Guatemala, section of central Honduras, section of Colombia, northwestern and northeastern Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname getting in on that rainfall as we speak. And regarding where the brunt of the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, both maps right here from the year and the GFS are adamant that the most rainfall should be across sections of Venezuela, Guyana, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, while the greens into the yellows and the oranges and the reds, that represents at least up to an inch of rainfall, should be affecting portions of Trinidad and Tobago, the ABC Islands, Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dominica, Guadeloupe, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat, the U.S. Virgin Islands, the British Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, Haiti, Jamaica, Cuba, sections of Western Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala. And we clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS modes are in agreement with that forecast. I know that when they're in agreement like this, the chances are higher for it to actually take place. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.